Hey everyone. So I just wanted to show off some new developments. You may have previously seen some projects I worked on with a Windows Media Audio lossless encoder and with some research into the Zune wireless sync protocol. Well, I have turned my attention towards artist images, and I think that's something that a lot of people have wanted to have an easier way of dealing with that. And it's particularly useful for my ultimate kind of end goal, which is a complete top to bottom open source recreation of the entire Zune desktop software. I've already made a lot of progress in this. And before I showed off my progress, the last piece that I really wanted to achieve was being able to handle artist images, provide artist images to the device, just completely manage that process. And I'm happy to note that I have done that. It's now possible through an open source tool to not only communicate with the Zune device, but to completely manage the artist images system. So I wanted to give a couple demonstrations of how that works. I have up here, this is a local implementation of the Zune Artist Images server. This was put together, I believe, on GitHub by Spiders and Moths is the user. And then down below, this is just some local files at a zeroed out ID. So what I'm going to show is just a little CLI tool that I've put together. Ultimately, this is going to be more of like a library for another piece of software, but I did this just kind of for demonstration. So sorry, I had to step away for a moment. So first I want to show what's on the device. So you'll see here there's a single artist. There's no metadata. The track doesn't have an ID on it. And what we can do is we can go ahead and plug it in. And we'll go ahead and start this tool. And you'll see there's a couple options. You can run it through a proxy, so it just forwards to either a local server or an external server statically, and it basically acts as a proxy, but it then serves from local files. So we'll go ahead and do a proxy for now. And so it established the networking mode with Zune, and then we can go ahead and I think what I'll first show actually is adding an ID to an existing artist. This is something that you can't do in the Zune desktop software. Normally you have to remove the artist and all of its music completely before you can do anything with the artist images. But I've been able to make it so that in place, you can just add the ID to the artist and it'll fetch the metadata, so you don't have to go through that process. So we'll just go ahead and retrofit. It lists the artist on the device. I have the ID copied. And so now it'll go ahead and update that entry. And now what you're seeing, this is the actual networking activity going across the USB. The Zune device encapsulates HTTP IP inside of PPP frames, which are then transferred in USB bulk transfers. I don't really know what any of that meant before I started working on this, but it works, so hey. And you'll see here that actually the server picked up the communication. It downloaded those image files and the XML, and it transferred it to the device. And so that's what all the activity you saw there was. And it should be done. Sometimes what you'll see is not all the images were successful. And usually that's okay, because the next time you sync, it'll grab the rest of them. And look at that. Metadata. Yep, you'll see there's 2 missing, but those will eventually get grabbed. And like I said, this was not removed from the device. It was just on there as it was, and it grabbed the metadata. So now I want to show adding a track. So we can go back here, start the tool again. I'll also do proxy. Establishes the networking mode, and we'll upload a track. I'll go ahead and grab this Britney Spears track, and you'll see it finds the ID that's embedded in the track. We'll go ahead and hit yes. So now it's uploading the track, creating the artist metadata entry on the device, and now you can see the activity is happening. You can see up here that Britney Spears got grabbed, and it's going to go through that process of adding it to the device. And because there were missing images from the white stripes, it'll grab those or attempt to grab those the second time around. So some of this activity can be for that as well. And it's probably done now. So we'll go ahead and close that. And we'll check on the device. Britney Spears. And sometimes I have issues like this. There's still a lot of bugs, but it's working, and I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to be continuing to iterate on this, getting it working more consistently, but at the end of the day, it works, and I'm really excited about that. So for those who stuck around till the end, I know this is a little long. It's kind of a hard thing to demonstrate, but I wanted to kind of show off one last thing, and just kind of an early preview of what I discussed at the beginning, which is a full desktop replacement software. Not only for Mac, but for Linux and Windows too. I ported the Android file transfer for Linux tool to Windows just so I have the same communication system on all 3 operating systems. And that means I can basically develop this one single app and have it work on every device. And here we go. This is where we're at so far. And there is a lot of placeholder here, but I've made a lot of progress. I'm really happy with the state of things at this point. And it has a lot of features that even at this stage, the original software doesn't. It has full lossless support for pretty much every codec you can think of. Zune device sync is already working. You can see the device is connected now, and those songs show up here. You can play the music directly off of the device without syncing it. When you do sync, if it's lossless audio, it automatically detects it and converts it to WMA lossless on the fly, so you don't have to have converted files in your library. There's fun nice to haves like dark mode. I've put some work into different visualizers that are kind of fun, with a lot of options for tweaking things. And there's just a lot more that I kind of have planned. Artist images, now that that's completed, I'll be adding that to this with a nice interface for you to edit the files that are served to the device. So if you have specific images that you want for that artist, you can do that really easily. And I just see a lot of potential for a modern version of the Zune desktop software. I've always really loved that interface and that experience, but I don't really run a Windows computer daily. I have to use the emulator when I do. And I just think it's kind of time to have a piece of software that has a similar design aesthetic and offers the same features, specifically for Zune devices, but can be updated and can have new features and support technology that's around now that wasn't 15 years ago. So I'm really excited to share more. There's a lot more to be done, but eventually I think this will be a great tool for everyone that still has a Zune. So I'll be sharing more on that soon, but I thought I'd kind of show a sneak peek of what that looks like. So Thanks for sticking around, and yeah, more to come.